I put together a list of 50 wines that are all under $20, sort of the $8 to $20 range, and then talked about these on the website that I run, the wine.us website. I don't know if you want to talk about a couple different wines that are on the website. I know one you actually mentioned pretty recently, the Beaujolais, the Parallel 45.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead.
Yeah, I was blown away by the quality this year. Obviously '07 was an exciting vintage in the Rhone Valley, and so I shouldn't have been surprised. But the quality was extremely good. I think in general, I think you're barking up the right tree. It's a category that I think in French wines, is a category. It's a big category that very much gets hurt by the fact that people think of Chateau Lafite and Romani Conti and high-end luxury cuvée champagnes and don't recognize that maybe dollar for dollar still some of the best wines in the world come from, whether it's Languedoc or Provence, or even under 20 you start getting into Cahors or Bandol or weird places like Gaillac. And then how about Bordeaux itself? There's a lot of under $20 Bordeaux that's legit. So, Bourgogne Rouge, and then you get into Beaujolais and the Alsace. You could stay under 20 and do serious damage, and I just don't think people think of French wines that way. As a matter of fact, and I'm never going to diss on USA, but I'm not so sold that French wines aren't dramatically a better buy under $20 than American wines are. I think I've had much more success from my palate and have seen many more things exceed and excel at Wine Library under 20 from France than we have from California, for sure. And even Washington and Oregon have become a lot less bashful. So I think people need to recognize what's going on in France.
Absolutely, and that's a lot of what I talk about, because so many people think, oh, it's just, traditional wines, or there's nothing really exciting, and I think if you go to France and travel around these different areas, what you see is just, you see some really dynamic and innovative winemaking, and also just really terrific quality. But I love what you described, how you described the Beaujolais as a Wednesday night pizza wine with Dancing with Stars.
Yep.
Although that's usually Monday and Tuesday, not Wednesday. But I think you're exactly.
Thanks for helping me out there. But I think there's a lot of wines that can come through as evening. I want to see what people are drinking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm passionate about that. I think that's a big thing for wine to get to where it needs to get. People need to start thinking about it as a 7-day-a-week beverage. I think it is for a lot of people, don't you? Is it a 7-day-a-week beverage for you, Sheri?
Yeah, every day, pretty much. I have to admit.
So to me, I think there's nothing better with food, and I give beer credit for being good with food, and water is healthy, I get it, but, there just isn't a better play, and, you're going to need a whole lot of $6 to $12 wine to afford wine every night, and so, that's the wine that we had really excited me. I think the Beaujolais did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one that we have that I'm just so impressed with the quality is the Jean-Paul Brun, the Beaujolais Blanc. Have you had that one? It's Chardonnay.
Yep.
I think that's an outstanding value and just a great example of some of the terrific Chardonnay out of Beaujolais, but also just that you can still find that really food-friendly Chardonnay, French Chardonnay, at under $20.
Yeah, Beaujolais in general is probably the most underrated region in all of France. Gamay is totally disrespected. When you get into Grape and Milan-Avant and Morgon, premier cru, quality stuff from a grape that is not so far off from what Pinot Noir brings to the table. I think it's a very fascinating debate of branding in general. I think Beaujolais Nouveau has hurt the Beaujolais in general, and then you start getting into the nerdy stuff, because Beaujolais Chards are definitely nerdy. A lot of people don't know about them. I remember when I first started, like, oh, wait a minute, really? Maybe a decade ago, and started bringing them into the store, and they were really inexpensive because nobody knows them. And I'm a big fan. And some of the 08s that I had were really, really good from that region in the Chardonnay category that I thought were really drinkable, really exciting, and very well priced.
And then when you look at the 09 vintage in Beaujolais, it is just, the quality is outstanding. I think there's some really exciting wines coming down the pipe.
Though that being said, some of the 09 Chardonnays, because of that, a little bit bigger stuff, it starts getting a little bit away from what I think I liked so much about the 08s.
Yeah, but for Gamay, it was
a whole huge home run.
Yeah. So I think there are going to be some really exciting wines. It's not just 09 in Bordeaux that we're going to be very excited by, I think. I think there's some great wines coming down the pipe.
The 09 Bandoles are going to be phenomenal. Bandol is going to be a really fun category to watch in 09.
Yep, absolutely. So another kind of great example of the types of wine that are on the Wines of France list, something like the Albrecht Brut Rosé, the 100% Pinot Noir. Because one of the things that I find people really don't drink enough of is sparkling wine. And they just don't think that sparkling wine can be, for dinner, or they think, oh, it's only for toasting, and it has to be really expensive. And I think this is a great example of some of the top quality sparkling wine that's coming out of France. It's, it's not champagne, but it's from Alsace. It's made in the traditional method, but I think it's just a great example of food-friendly wine.
Yeah, I think when you look at sparkling wine from France and you start paying attention to what's going on in Alsace and Loire Valley, Provence, stuff, really exciting, well priced. You may have heard me rant about sparkling wine. I rant about it all the time. It's probably my favorite rant. Why are we not eating more foods with sparkling wine? Champagne goes incredible with lobster, for example. And to me, Loire Valley and Alsace, the Cremant, the traditional Methois style wines are really incredible, really well made, really enjoyable, and so well priced. I mean, and that's it. I mean, Sheri, I think you're hitting it on the head with that example. The last two examples really hit home for me, right? People think of white Burgundy, and you're going to think of, Remy Jobard, $75 charge. Well, look what's going on in Beaujolais for under 15, let alone 20. People think champagne, and they're going to think about, some amazing Pierre Peters Premier Cru, and it's going to be expensive at $60 and $80. And meanwhile, look what's going on in the Alsace and in Loire, where you can easily get good sparkling wine for under $20. And there's just versions of that all day long throughout this country. I think people need to start paying attention to what the real opportunities are. It takes a little more savvy shopping, but the rewards are tremendous.
Well, why do you, and you're talking with consumers, and especially the sort of the generation that you deal with a lot, why do you think there are some of those barriers to drinking more sparkling wine? To pairing it with, what do you think that it is that people really resist pairing that with food?
I think sparkling wine's been branded well, and thus you see it in movies, at toasts, and you've had it at your bar mitzvah, or, it's always celebratory, right? Graduation, weddings. I think that we need to, have cultural moments. I think, a big movie needs to come out, like maybe Hangover 2, when the boys are at dinner, they're drinking champagne with food, and people are like, wait a minute, that's an image, and, I think it's your job and my job and the job of, Wine Spectator needs to put champagne on the cover with 4 major foods like turkey and lobster, and Robert Parker needs to rant on it in his hedonistic gazette, and, I think it's the voices in the industry need to talk about it more. I think the champagne industry itself needs to focus on this more. If I was head of champagne, if I was the czar of champagne, king of the bubbles, it would probably be my agenda for 2011 and really push our marketing budget and our messaging towards we're just not for celebrations.
In a given week, how much sparkling wine do you drink?
Probably 1 every 2 weeks. Which I think is staggeringly high in comparison. Especially, I would say very high. How many people are, drinking champagne with meals 25 to 30 times a year outside of celebratory events? Probably nobody. Not many. And so definitely not enough. And so I'm very into it. Plus, dessert in general, fruit. I mean, there's just a lot of places you can do it. The flexibility is pretty substantial. Crudo, raw fish is a real big push now. I mean, what a great play there. So lots of opportunity. I think as Asian cuisine and Indian cuisine are starting to invade the States more and more every day, I think that opens up the door for sparkling wines to find their home.
Yep. No, it's a great match with sushi, too.
No question.
Absolutely perfect. So what are some of the other kind of challenges that you see for French wines in the next year?
I'm a big strategy guy. It's never about the tactics. It's always the strategy. And I think they have a big hill to climb. I think that, the strategy you guys are taking, 8 to 20, I think is very smart. I think you guys globally need to look at 4 or 5 regions. I think Côte d'Aron is something that you guys can ride that horse and really establish it. I've always thought Côte d'Or was super close to being like the play, the Malbec play. Let's say right now Malbec a dominant play in the wine world. I think France needs to really think about, a smart campaign. I think, strategy, right? So milk, the dairy industry, they wanted people to, go drink more milk. They came up with a big play, got milk, right? Did the mustaches, and it worked. I think without hurting, Chateau Lafitte's or Chateau Margaux's feelings, there needs to be some sort of play of like, it's not just about the high end, and really making a funny campaign maybe around high-end wine or making fun of itself. I think that's always been a great play. So I think maybe some, videos of like a stuck-up French play and making it funny and trying to say, it's not the same anymore. I think it needs to be strategy, and I think that the story needs to be told, and I think, places like the Mataron and Gaillac and Provence need to get more of a push and more of a support, and it just needs to, I can't believe that Provence or Languedoc or some of these places or the Vin de Pays, haven't decided to do more challenges against California or Argentina or New Zealand, Australia. They would win a lot of battles.
Well, they're definitely working on it. The Sud de France umbrella promotion has been really successful. We actually just finished filming a bunch of different videos around France about sort of fun, both food, wine, tourism focus for the videos, kind of featuring different places. We were in Gaillac, we were in Provence, and I think some of those will, kind of point to that these are areas where you can find some of that fun interplay between food and wine, between food and tourism, and so hopefully, people will enjoy watching those on my website and the Lost in Translation website, and also, be introduced to some different wines from around. So, sort of the perception that both consumers have about French wine, and then maybe people within the wine trade have about French wine. Certainly, we've been going through kind of an interesting period with Bordeaux, with all the discussion about 2009, and then sort of what happens to some of the smaller guys, and how those wines are doing, and also there's been quite a extensive discussion among the wine trade about Bordeaux sort of losing its appeal with people kind of our age, that those people are kind of pulling away from Bordeaux. And I think you're a pretty big Bordeaux fan, right? I mean, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't think, content is king. I don't see Bordeaux going anywhere. I'm very worried, and have always been worried of the bottom 70% of Bordeaux, because they've never done well, because Bordeaux is, it's just very, very difficult. People don't think of Bordeaux and don't shop Bordeaux under 20 very, very often. And the press has been such a factor in wine for so much longer, and I think people are being naive about not recognizing that the press themselves decided under $20 Bordeaux capped out at 88 points. I mean, when's the last time you saw $14.99 third label Bordeaux get a 92 from Parker or Spectator? Meanwhile, it happens every day from Australia and California, or at least Washington State, the Rhone, a Gigondas or a Cornas or a Côte de Village. So, I think that had a lot to do with it, a lot more than I think people want to admit. And I think they've got a lot of storytelling to do, but, that's my whole thesis, right? I mean, get out there, do it yourself. Like, don't wait for Spectator or Parker. Don't let me be the one telling your story. Don't let you tell the story. Tell it yourself. And I think these wineries have to take more of the marketing into their own control, because they've always let Chateau and Estates or Pierre Antoine, Beaufrère, or, those kind of players tell the stories. Definitely Parker and Spectator and Tanzer and Jancis Robinson and Decanter and even to some degree now me, and definitely things like that have told the stories. And so I don't think that that's a good thing. And I think that businesses, which these wineries are, need to take control of their message, and they need to be pumping out, you're doing amazing work for them, and they need to take a lead from you and saying if you don't get around to their winery when you're in Gaillac, they need to do it for themselves. Right.